Your phone should be zipped up, put away, the usual jazz, all that type of stuff. Usual jazz, yeah. You know all that jazz?
Is it easy?
Sort of.
What are we doing on Thursday and Friday?
Well, come to school on Thursday and Friday to find out. So today we're getting introduced to Unit 6. Typically, Unit 6 is about Advanced CSS Part 2. And I split it in half from Unit 5 because we're trying out this new root folder submission method instead of the way that I've done it in the past. And since I wanted to give you guys just an extra chance to practice, we have split this unit, continuing to work on Advanced CSS in Unit 6. 6.1 is talking about the idea, the concept specifically of something called media queries. There's a bunch of videos and resources that we'll get to today here in the thread. Speaking of, here's the thread for the week. 12:11 to 12:15. Last week before break, there's a couple replies in here. There's one about media queries and media query examples, which we'll get into here in just a second after we watch this short video explanation. So I'm gonna get all my stuff set up here. So, hey guys, especially in the front where I have to keep reminding you. Keep it down while this video is playing, please, so that everybody has a chance to hear it. Of media queries to become a more responsive page. So, or to create a more responsive page, I mean. Oops, sorry, I had my wrong, let me think. So you guys' phone's supposed to be zipped up while we're live. Thank you. Anyway. All right, so let's talk about assignment 6.1, which is going to be that introduction to media queries. So we go into modules. There's another Unit 6, submit your roots here, just like on Unit 5. Before we get into that, there is a PowerPoint available that I want to show y'all real quick. Let me get it pulled up in a more, or I guess we could do it like this. So, when you hear me talk about responsive layouts, what I'm saying is how does your page respond to either a variety of different screen sizes is the most common version, or a variety of different user inputs, which is the one that we don't get to so much in web design. That's more of a comp sci direction. But we're going to focus specifically on the screen size because our users have a variety of different devices that they're going to access our hard work from. So you want your site to look good on any screen. That's widescreen monitors like what we're used to, iPads, tablets, Kindles, smartphones, all the fun devices that you can purchase. You want your site to look good on all of them. And so when I'm talking about what is an actual, or what actually is a responsive layout, it's when something has a different design based on the device or screen size. And that is not only a different design, but an effective design so that it works best for whatever screen you have available, or that your whatever screen your user has available. So we can do this with media queries. Media queries also use the link tag. There's a way to do it just as an attribute inside of the start of our Zelda link here. If I could highlight the whole phrase, there we go. You can add this media equals screen attribute inside of your Zelda links after your text equals or text/CSS and stuff. This means whenever your device tells your browser that the media type is set to a screen, you're using something with a screen, then this CSS style sheet will apply. So, media attribute defines what devices should use what style sheets, and there are a ton of different media types like handheld, print, projection, TV, all that stuff. We're going to use screen, we're going to use print, and we're going to use all, because those are really all the ones that we need to be focused on or taking advantage of here. So the problem with thinking about setting a device to screen is that a lot of mobile devices are going to ignore the handheld property. The handheld property is kind of one that's bygone from the early 2000s, the early days of mobile computing, right? We don't really use things called handhelds anymore. It's just assumed that you're going to have a pocket computer. These devices want to show you the full web. If you think about Safari or Chrome or Firefox or whatever browsing app you use, there are lots of different options. They're going to want to go the full website version as compared to an older, more archaic handheld version that maybe has been used in the past. And we can work around this by specifying screen sizes. So there's a generally accepted range of which sizes screens are for which devices, and you can use min width, max width, and the same for height to create the effect that we're going for. This old version uses them in the attribute for the HTML. We are not going to do that. We're going to do it in CSS, but the same rules apply. So all of this is to say that if we go to modules and then go down to 6.1 right here on advanced CSS part 2, 6.1 has responsive layouts. Due this Friday with a deadline of January 12th. So you have the break to take a look at these as well if you want to. It's 2 exercises, just like 5.2, and it's focused specifically on using media queries. So before we do any of the actual media query part, this back half, we want to focus on what we know for sure first. This is just regular old CSS, right? XX font size, white color with a blue background color, right? Stuff we're all used to. The thing that's different about Unit 6 specifically is that you can use multiple style sheets for one HTML file, one singular HTML file. You can see I have adapted this a little bit because the rubric is a teensy bit out of date. I need to update that. So let's set up. This is where the code along portion begins. If you've tuned me out so far, you should tune back into me. This is where the code along section begins, where I'll help you set up your Unit 6 root folder. So we're in the File Explorer here. I'm going to go to my 6th period web design folder. That is my admin, sorry. We'll go into semester 1 and then 6th period web design. We've got all these different folders, all these different files. A quick thing you can do if you want is you can go to View, this top tab in the file Explorer. If you go to View, and then go to group by type. You set your group by to type, it's going to organize into all the different file types, and a really useful visual because I can just close up the ones that I don't need. I can see how many zips I have, how many HTML files, and I can just drop it down. It's cool. So we have a lot of file folders. I'm going to go back home, click on my home tab up here, and then I'm going to create a new folder for Unit 6, naming it be Blakeney P6. Yes, Unit 6. Okay. So inside of the Unit 6 folder, this is the same root folder setup for the most part that we're used to. I'm going to make an SRC subfolder and a styles subfolder, just like we have been pretty consistently. So we have our Unit 6 root. This is where each of our HTML assignment files are going to go. And then each of their specific style sheets are going to go inside of the subfolder. And then if we have any SRCs down the road, we have a nice little landing zone, a nice little organizational place for those to go. Okay, now this is all you need to do in the File Explorer. What you need to do in VS Code is we're going to go to File and then open that folder that we just created. So File, Open Folder, and then open up Unit 6. Oh, this is 2nd period. Just kidding. My bad. Let's go back to 6th period web design and then open up Unit 6. Click on that select folder. There's nothing in it because we just built it. Before we build any of our HTML files for the assignments, we need to build our table of contents, our Unit 6 index page. So I'm going to go Unit 6 index.html, hit enter, and then I'm going to start this HTML file just like normal. Change the title to be my name, P6, and then Unit 6. This, and then put a little placeholder in the body. H1 and enter, or H whatever level you want and enter. It's going to add that start and end tag automatically. This. Oh, I'm actually just instead going to put my name, my class period, and my and the unit that it's running. You don't have to put any dates or anything like that. All right, so after you put your H1 label on there, you can hit A and then enter. It's going to get our anchor href up automatically. Inside of quotes, you can put a hashtag as a placeholder so that that way you can fully code out the element, but just put the relevant data in at another time. I'm going to put a hashtag in my anchor href because for now I don't have another HTML file to link it to. And then I'm going to put 6.1 in the content section. Make sure you remember that content section. Otherwise, we won't be able to see the anchor at all. And then I like to add a target equals blank. So I click on target and then click on equals blank. After my href attribute, because I like my assignments to open up in a new tab. You do not have to do that, but if you want them to open in a new tab, it's target equals underscore blank inside the quotes. And since we don't have a 6.1 file yet, this is just going to remain a hashtag until we do. So this is all HTML setup that we're used to. We've seen this before. If I go live on this, for example, I'm way zoomed in. So let me zoom out a little bit. When I click on 6.1 here, it's just going to take me back to the index page because there's no actual anchor inside of there. So I can make a whole bunch of these, which I'm not going to do. Now let's make our unit 6 HTML file. Let's actually make the one that we're going to be doing the exercise on. So with the big folder selected, you have the big rectangle as compared to the solid rectangle for a subfolder. You can either double click or you can hit the paper with the plus button. That's what I'm going to do. B Blakeney underscore P6 underscore 6.1. Don't forget the .html. That's the thing that's changing from the way we've set up our roots in the past, because it's a single file as compared to an entire root. So I'm going to start this HTML like normal. B Blakeney P6 6.1. And then I'm going to add a little header in the body here for placeholder, H1 and enter. This is 6.1 so that I can make sure that it's running for surezies before I do anything. I also like to add a little version number right after the title. So I put V1 in the head container like this on line 8, and then control question mark to turn that into a quick comment. So I have a little notation of which version this site is or whatever changes I've been making thus far. So this is all stuff we've seen before, so I'm going to continue going. We're all used to setting up HTML. Since we're working with media queries and we want specific conditions to be met, think back to pseudo classes, how the word conditional means if something happens, then something else happens. That's the condition, right? Each one of these is its own style sheet as compared to being one massive style sheet. So I'm going to go into my folder here. I'm going to create 3 style sheets that are all related to 6.1 alone, at least 3 style sheets. So if we look at what the contract is actually asking of us, extra large white text on a blue background, that's a pretty good key identifier. I'll use that one. We got normal size red text on a yellow background. The yellow background is another good indicator. And then black and white text when the page is printed. So that's just default. We're just going to leave that alone. However, we do still need that style sheet for our media query to live on. So with these styles subfolder selected, solid rectangle for subfolder, we're going to go 6.1 underscore blue style dot CSS. And then click on the subfolder again, new file, 6.1 underscore yellow style dot CSS. And then one more file, right click, new file. We're going to go 6.1 underscore BW style dot CSS. Just going to make that lowercase. BW style CSS. So we have 3 style sheets now. We're going to connect all 3 of these style sheets to a single HTML document. Bless you, bless you. So I'm going to go right here on line number 7. I'm back on my 6.1 HTML at this point. LINK and then hit enter. We get our rel style sheet and we get our href. Inside of the quotes, we're going to put the subfolder first, and then blue style, and then type equals text slash CSS, just like normal, just like what we're used to, slash CSS like this. And I'm just going to repeat that process 2 more times for my other 2 style sheets. So LINK and hit enter, subfolder first, styles, and then yellow style. I've already written my type equals text slash CSS, so I'm going to right click on that, copy it, paste it after the quotes here like this, and then just one more time, link my 3rd style sheet, which is BW style sheet, in the order, or in the brain, in the head of our document right here by going to the href, styles, and BW style.css, space, control V to paste that type equals text slash CSS. And we've just repeated the Zelda link tag 3 times for 3 separate style sheets, all contained within our brain of our page, the head. So check yours, make sure it looks similar to mine. And we'll get into the next part, which is making sure that our CSS is actually working. All right. Does anybody need more time checking their HTML? CSS is blank currently. Okay, I'm gonna move on. So now we need to make sure that our CSS is linked correctly. I'm gonna take this H1 off of line 14 here. I'm gonna create 3 divs that are kind of going for the ideal styling that the contract is asking of us with the blue, the yellow, and the black and white, respectively. So I'm going to do that by typing div.blue because I want to create a div with a class of blue. Hit enter. And then I'm just going to put blue div or something like that in here. Repeat that process 2 more times, one for yellow, so that it matches my style sheets for the most part. And then this is yellow div. Like that. And then a third and final div.bw. That is my black and white div. So what we'll do next, after you create your 3 divs with the classes, you can set them to whatever, but I'm using blue, yellow, and BW for the specific function. We're going to go to each of those style sheets that we created in order and add the styling that makes these appear, kind of like the dashboard on your car. You want to make sure that all of your gauges and stuff are working before you start doing anything crazy like driving, for example. You want to make sure that you have all your stuff in working order before you take off. So I'm going to go to blue style. Remember, my div class is div.blue. So on my blue style CSS style sheet, excuse me, that's redundant, but on my my blue style sheet, I'm gonna go div.blue and set the font size. I'm not gonna do all the CSS because that's your guys' job, but I am just gonna set it to something so that I know that it's different. Font size 200%. Then next, in my file explorer or my regular VS Code Explorer on the left, I'm going to click on yellow style, div.yellow, curly bracket. I'm going to set this background color to be yellow. All right, and then on black and white, I'm just going to add a border to div.bw so that I can see where each of the 3 things are interactive. And so, if you have linked your style sheets correctly, you put them in the correct subfolder, you've assigned the correct classes in your HTML, and they're all contained within the Unit 6 root. When you go live on your 6.1 page, it should look something like this. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see the difference. Blue div's quite a bit larger because it's inheriting the CSS from that blue style sheet. 1 second. Yellow div's got a background because it's taken that from the yellow div style sheet. And then black and white is taking the border from the black and white style sheet. All 3 of them separate, but contained in one HTML page and all functional in one spot. Okay, Shannon, you had a question.
For the blue one, you said 200 yes for the
200%.
200%.
Yeah.
Can you go back to your stuff?
Yeah. Braden, you have a question? It didn't work? Okay, I'll check it here in a second. So here's my my style sheets are just really simple. Div.blue, it's a single line of CSS on each of them, div.bw, and then div yellow has a background color of yellow. We'll go back up one more time. Black and white just has a border. These aren't what I'm actually asking for you from the contract. You'll have to do the contract part yourself. Once we talk about media queries during our block day, this is just getting you guys introduced, set up, and prepped for when we actually break down media queries into a step-by-step. So all you need right now is just a little bit of CSS so that you can tell that your 3 linked style sheets are working. Make sure that your links have REL and style sheet, all lowercase, no spaces. And then href and type equals text / CSS. You need all 3 pieces in order for your Zelda link to work. And you need a different Zelda link for each style sheet that you're trying to connect. It won't let you connect multiple at once. And then my CSS is just basic. So let you guys check that against yours. Let me close this. Well, actually, do something else. Okay,
Oh my god.
so the last thing we need to do today for our setup is to go into our Unit 6 index page and remove the hashtag
What is going
and replace it with our actual file name that we've created here. So bblakeney p6 6.1.html. I'm gonna maintain my target blank and close my port on that other one so that we can check it real quick. Let's get out of here. Close that. So if I were to go live on my index page, it's gonna pop up. It's still zoomed way in. But here we are on our index page. If I click on 6.1, it should open up and it should maintain the 3 separate style sheets, all connected. Yeah, Delilah, what's up?
The meeting is like 4 disconnected. Yeah.
Huh?
The meeting is disconnected.
Okay, did you all get disconnected? Okay, that happens. So, one second. In the meantime, just check and make sure that you're, if you're still connected to the Zoom room, give me 1 second. Let me split this in half here. Okay.
Is it our whole row? Everyone's? Yeah.
It is your whole row, yeah, it happens. Okay, so typically what happens is typically what happens is this switch gets unplugged, which controls all your internet connections. So if we just put it back on. No. Okay, give it just a second and you should reconnect. Thankfully, it's recorded, so you didn't miss.
Oh, wow. Not all that. It's only the folder set. Back to work.
Don't stay. All right, so as long as you got the root folder set up, your 3 style sheets are linked, and you can see a little bit of CSS happening. You guys are finished and set up for tomorrow or Wednesday when you guys come back, where we actually start getting into how media queries work and function. So I'm gonna wrap up the Zoom room unless anybody has any questions that they want answered immediately. If not, I can come check your individual stuff. Remember, this index page is the one you can decorate. You can put all types of cool stuff on there, experiment with different CSS. I love to see what you guys are researching on your own, as well as what you want to practice. You can leave me notes. You can leave notes for other people who want to visit your page, whatever. You can put whatever you want on this index page. All right, so I'm going to close out all these. Yes, it's JavaScript. Okay. That's everything. All right, thank you guys for listening.